In this video, I'm gonna give you a full, no BS guide on how to stop wasting your life as a teenager through dopamine detox. If you're fat, if you're a chronic video game addict, if your whole life as a teenager revolves around wasting as much time as possible, then this video is for you. Because these bad habits aren't the real problem. They're just symptoms of a real, major underlying problem that you have to solve before everything else corrects itself. And that problem is bad mental health. And that problem is bad mental health. And by mental health, I don't mean you going to the top of a cliff and doing one of these poses while meditating yourself. I mean you chronically overstimulating yourself day in and day out to the point that you can't even focus for a few seconds a day. That you must be distracted 24/7. You've conditioned yourself to stop living like a human. And I was like that. I was there. I was a big fat little slob who played video games 24 hours a day. And yet as much as I denied it, I knew I was a loser. I knew that these things were bad. But the reason that I kept going, because my mental health was so bad, that the only way that I would stay sane and stay happy is if I distracted myself constantly. So my aim in this video is to help you get out of this vicious cycle of depressive-like state, of being in a depressive-like state 24/7 and being actually able to function as a human. And after this video, if you follow all the action steps, you will be a completely new person. You won't need to keep on coping through these bad habits because your life's gonna be so good already that you don't need to distract yourself. And that's something that's very rare nowadays that I'm lucky to have accomplished. And you can do it too. And the solution comes back around. It's dopamine detox. This is a recurring theme on my channel, but it's genuinely what saved my life in some aspect. Dopamine detox is pretty much where you fast from all of the pleasurable activities that are slowly killing you, and you come back as a new person. But this fast isn't just a 24-hour fix. It's a new lifestyle. It's a new way of living that once you adopt, you'll never go back. I feel like a new person now. I can focus. The hard work for me, the studying, going to the gym, all the hard work for me, all the good habits that were previously super difficult, like eating clean, like stopping to play video games. It's all easy now because I improved my mental health, and I did that by dopamine detox, where you stop overstimulating yourself and you start actually living. I'm never going back, and neither will you. So let's get into the actual protocol now, because you'll need a sort of framework I aim to provide you a sort of framework so that you basically never go back to living like a total loser, like a total leech, right? So what is allowed on this protocol? Well, the first thing is 1 hour of any educational content like this one, but it has to be educational content that's formatted like this. There's no like subtitles on the bottom. There's no like little AI generated images. There's none of that. None of that dopamine inducing stuff. It needs to be raw content like this one, where you're actually learning things and you're taking notes and you're actually implementing. Because if you watch this video and then go back to playing video games, there was no purpose in watching this video, guy. And I was there. And of course, you need to learn. You have to have this little period in self-improvement where you're just learning. But you need to make sure that you start at least acknowledging that you will take action in the future. And I'm gonna make it easier for you by giving you some action steps throughout the video. Now, up next is reading. Reading's like the anti-dopamine, the anti-overstimulated freak. It's like the medicine to being an overstimulated freak, because basically there's no all of a sudden like subtitles at the bottom or in the middle, like on those YouTube shorts that you see where it's like top 5 ways to take control of your life in 24 hours. No. Reading, especially like non-fiction, like self-help books, but any book in general, is a very good source. It's a very good source of knowledge, and it doesn't overstimulate you. You get all the knowledge without like the overstimulating aspects of it, right? So reading's definitely a good choice. And finally is music, because music on like with a new lifestyle like this, music is pretty much okay. I've never had any experience with music sort of ruining my life. I mean, if you like listen to it constantly and you're watching the music videos like constantly, it's still sort of bad, but in general, music's never really a bad thing. Now, what's not allowed is pointless, dopamine-inducing, cute self-help videos or any video in general, where it's like this random dude just playing a video game or yapping about how successful he is or whatever. Anything of that sort is just completely gone. It should be gone from your lifestyle. Nobody who's like the top 1% of people, 1% of teenagers, we don't watch these cute little dopamine-inducing videos where it's just him sort of yapping for the next 20 minutes. We don't need that. You don't need that. You don't need any of this pointless content. None of that TV, no Netflix, no movies, none of that. I haven't watched a movie in like the last 6 months. There's no reason to. It's a complete utter waste of time, and you're gonna stop doing that, okay? Now, you might have to progressively overload it. Like, of course, you can't just snap your fingers and go, okay, I'm gonna end an addiction that I've been fostering for 10 years. Nah, you're gonna have to take it slowly, and a book that I recommend actually is called Atomic Habits, where it pretty much explains you how you can break down all these habits that I've been talking about. I might make a full, like, guide on habits in the future, because a lot of these habits are just addictions that you've been creating for, like, the past 10 years. So you might need a little bit of a guide to actually slowly chipping away at them until they're gone. That's fine. All you need to do is have the willpower to keep going. You just need the will, and if there's a will, there's a way. You just need to have the motivation to keep going, and for the first few days it may suck, but it's gonna get better, trust me. Now, another thing is just pointless web surfing, like those little, like, there's no reason to surf the web and go to like those articles and stuff. You really don't get anything out of those. Sure, if there's like a course that you're doing or something, it's alright, but in general, just, it's not necessary. 99% of the stuff on the internet is just pointless, new age, normie sort of content that keeps you addicted. So you just don't need it. Just get it out of your life. Come on. You might be having these thoughts right now like, oh, I don't want to get rid of that. I don't want to get rid of that podcast. I don't want to get rid of that stuff. Listen to yourself. It's almost like you're a vape addict who's like, I can quit whenever I want. No, that's not how it works. You need to start actually taking action, realizing that this stuff is bad. The first step to growth is awareness. So you need to be aware that, yeah, you've been living like a total freak, and so have I. You've been living like a total loser, and so have I. I've lived exactly like you have. But it's so much better on this side where you're not constantly like scrolling like a brain dead little fool. Like you're brain dead. Like you need some sort of distraction to keep you going 24/7. So yeah, 99% of the stuff on the internet, just get rid of it. Now, the next time I'm gonna cover is video games, which is a big one. I used to play video games for 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day. I was a total loser in that aspect. And the thing is, video games sap so much time and energy from you that it's almost evil when you think about it. These games are taking your actual drive for improvement and they're rerouting it from real life to video games where nothing actually changes in real life. It's a fantastic way to cope because it's instant gratification. You're leveling up in a way that's much easier than in real life, because leveling up in real life it's the same thing, right? You grind, you seek out new knowledge, you look to people who are better than you, but it's harder, right? So these huge corporations have pretty much taken all of your motivation from one end and they've put it into video games, their service, their system, so that they can keep you being a loser. Think about how evil that is, right? This whole generation is like a cage of guinea pigs who are being tested on with these multiple services, like junk food, like video games, like social media, like porn. You don't need it. Get rid of it. Now, again, these addictions are like, they've probably been festered by you for the past like 5 years, 8 years, 10 years. So it's gonna be a gradual decrease, right? You can't just snap your fingers. But if you can manage to go without it for at least a few days, you're gonna feel so liberated because now you have like 10 times the amount of energy to do things and improve yourself. Video games are probably like the biggest weapons of this generation, the biggest sort of downfall of this generation. And once you get off of them, you're immediately like top 10% in your class in the world. I have a full video on that. You should check it out because it has some pretty interesting stuff. Now, next thing is junk food. It's the same thing. It's dopamine. It's instant gratification. It's helping you indulge in pleasure right now, but you feel worse later. You're fatter later. You have less brain power later. You need to get rid of it. And again, it's going to be slow, especially if you're like a little crab who's been munching on like hyper-processed junk food that's completely ruining your health and everything. And it's the funny thing is, if you look at look at the ingredients on it. Look how poisonous it must be. There's a reason that we have like the highest rates of cancer and obesity. It's because of these freaking ingredients like xanthan gum, like seed oils, like all of these like crap that we never used to eat, but we're eating it right now because, oh yeah, we're so advanced, guys. Look, we created food for ourselves that makes us feel good right now, but slowly kills us. There's a really good video on YouTube called Fat Chance where it talks about sugars and like the bad diet that we have in general. It's really interesting because if you look at it, we process this. Our bodies are not built to process this absolutely awful food. We've never had a problem like this in the past like 100 years until now. So think about it. It's normal now to eat food that's slowly killing you. And you know what's also normal? Being fat, killing yourself, losing motivation, not being able to focus. It all comes back to these new age habits that we've developed, like video games, junk food, social media. Cut it out. And lastly, the same thing goes for fapping. Like, bro, you're not a little monkey. Get off of it. Now we've covered the protocol. We need to actually talk about what are you going to fill your time with. We've talked about, okay, what are the things you're allowed to do? What are the things you're going to cut out? We also need to talk about like what do you need to fill your time with, because you can eliminate all the bad, but that just creates a vacuum, right? You need to actually have something to fill your time with that's productive, that starts building you up. We've eliminated all the bad, but now we need to introduce some good. So the biggest thing that I feel like you can do right now is reading. Reading changed my life. The 10 books on my shelf that are primarily self-help, they've changed my life. Because imagine this. There are people who've dedicated their whole life to one thing, to social skills, to fitness, to goal setting, to success, to money, to fame. And they've synthesized all that knowledge for you. You pretty much have a mentor with you in that book. He has a PhD. He has like 75 more years of life experience than you. So why not read it then? Because a book made by that person, there are books made by millionaires talking about how they got rich. There are books on athletes who talked about how they got there. There's books on everything, dude. Start reading them. It's like the biggest resource. You can read books on Marcus Aurelius, one of the best rulers in the world ever. You can read on Julius Caesar, on Alexander the Great, how they conquered the world. You can read on millionaires, billionaires. You can read on monks who have sacrificed everything just for the pursuit of happiness, and they found it, and they're sharing it with you. Start consuming the right things, and you'll start producing the right things. It's an input and output. Input good things in your mind, and good things will come out of it. So just give it a shot. If you're gonna start, pick up this book, Atomic Habits. That's the book that literally changed my life, and it's a great way to start with dopamine detox and all of this stuff. Start reading, and your life will change. The next thing is educational content, which is a similar thing. But again, make sure it's not like dopamine heavy, like cute little cartoony self-improvement videos that don't really get you anywhere. It needs to be raw content like this. You should actually be proud of yourself if you got here to this point in the video, because there's no editing, there's no subtitles on the bottom that are animated. It's just me giving you information that changed my life and it's put me on the right path to become a millionaire in 10 years. Educational content's good, but only if you consume the right things and it's not dopamine inducing. Now, sports and exercise. It's like a big one. It's probably one of the biggest habits that's changed the way that I live. So I lost 12 pounds just by getting off of video games and eating like a slob. And then I rerouted all that energy into fitness, into lifting, particularly heavy lifting. But if you can't do heavy lifting, body weight exercises are like killer, bro. Running, sports, you need to be doing these things. It's a thing that for the past million years as humans have been evolving, it's the same thing. We've always been playing, especially as children and teenagers. We've always been competing. We've always been doing these things. But nowadays we're getting less and less social. And we start going on social media, which ironically just degrades your social skills. So I advise you to go out in the world, get some sun on your skin and play sports. Hang out with people outside. Breathe in fresh air that's not musty from the cum stains on your wall. It's not musty from the junk food that you've been inhaling day in and day out. And if you do this, you'll immediately have like a 50% boost in energy and happiness. Now here are some bonus tips that'll keep you going for longer, and that have personally changed my life as well while on dopamine detox. The first thing is to establish a sort of routine. You need to pretty much have a timetable for your day. And like imagine if you're in school and like, okay, from 8:30 to 10:30 you have math, 10:30 to 11 lunch, 11 to 1 it's reset, whatever. Like 11 to 11:30 it's science, 11:30 to 1 it's gym, whatever. The idea is that you need to have some sort of structure for your day. If you look at all the millionaires out there, they all don't focus on money, but the time that they have. Because at times you're really the only thing that everybody has the same amount of. And if you can use your time well by putting it into the correct places and being mindful of it, you can actually change the way you live. I'm going to put a little screenshot of the routine that I use, and you can copy off it, take some ideas off it. But you pretty much need to have a structure for your day. And if you do, your life will change. 100% guarantee. But here's the thing though, another bonus tip, is that your friends will not support you in any way, shape, or form. I had the optimism like, oh yeah, maybe I can get my friends on dopamine detox. But if you look at the people nowadays, they're not receptive to new ideas like you. You genuinely have something special in you, I believe, that caused you to come here, to actually seek out this information. A lot of your friends will be sort of weirded out by you, like, why are you doing all these things? Come back. I wish I missed the old you. Think about it. They missed the old loser you who played video games for 12 hours and gained 20 pounds in the last 2 years. They've gained the fat loser you. They missed the fat loser you over the new and improved you. Think about it. They will not support you. Now, you may have like a friend or two who actually have the same interests as you, but that's very rare. But the payoff is so good. You don't need to cut off from your friends. But you need to start distancing yourself a little bit. Maybe just send them a text like, hey, I might not be available for the next week or so, I have something going on. Because the thing is, when you're friends with somebody based on like an addiction like video games, you're not friends with them. You're friends with the substance, the video games, the social media. When me and my video game friends sort of detached because I was on the like dopamine detox, sure, for the first day or two, they're like, yo, where are you at? But then they just forgot about me because they were never really friends to begin with. They were friends with the substance, with the video game. I wish I learned this sooner, but you need to have the courage to step away and be alone for a few weeks or so. Because the right people will open up in life, but it takes some time. However, it'll all be worth it, bro. And the final thing is progressive overload. Progressive overload is pretty much you slowly increasing the weight, the intensity of where you're going at. You can't just snap your fingers and suddenly become a monk when it comes to like your skill, like your dopamine levels. You need to slowly cut things out. It might sound kind of unsexy, but you pretty much have to start out with like, in video games, you're just chopping the wood before you slowly make the weapons and you slowly build your civilization. You slowly level up, right? So you need to do this. It works the exact same way in life. You need to start out by just cutting out things slowly. Like maybe for video games, you're not just gonna snap your fingers and quit. You might need to first just start out by just stop playing solo and only play with friends. So that maybe eliminates like a third of or maybe half of your video game time. Then you only play with a few friends that are really close. So that again eliminates a little bit more. And then finally you just cut it all out. You just slowly build up the mental resilience. So with junk food, and maybe start eliminating like snacking, sugary treats like chocolates and stuff. Then salty treats like snack foods like chips and stuff. And then slowly build up the resilience where you can resist pretty much everything. Progressive overload is like increasing the weight that you're squatting in life. And it might take some time because you're at level 0 right now. You've been playing at level 0 your whole life. Only now have you really woken up and started leveling up. So you need to take things slowly and you need to start the grind off well. And that's what my channel is here to do. To slowly introduce you to the realm of self-improvement and slowly bring you from where you are to where you want to be. And you will never look back. So that's it for this video. If you found any value, go down and click the subscribe button. Scroll down and click the subscribe button so you get more videos like this submitted to your homepage. See you soon.